No, you're good. Is everyone here?
Is Maria Simone here? Good.
I want to give you a flower. I need you for this. Hi. I don't know. Very nice guy. Really good person. I tried. Let's get ourselves some water.
Okay, we're about to begin, okay?
Good evening and welcome to the Farmingdale School District's annual Wall of Fame induction ceremony. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Jed Herman, and I'm one of the assistant principals here at Farmingdale High School. Well, normally we hold this at the high school, but today we find ourselves in the Howard Courtyard, enjoying this beautiful weather. So, I'd really like to start off by saying thank you to all of the people who helped make this possible, because this is a pretty big task to get all of these people in one spot and to figure out how to make this work. But I have to say we're very lucky here in Farmingdale to have the best support staff. The custodial staff, the AV staff, the secretarial staff. So I'd really like to just give a warm thank you from the heart for all the people who helped make this possible. So again, my name is Jed Herman, and one of my roles is I serve as the chairperson of the Wall of Fame Committee, which is a pretty cool job because I get to review some applications of some really cool people who have done some amazing things. And our helper this evening is also one of the committee members, and well, it's really about her because, as you do this for a couple of years now, you realize that the importance for the Wall of Fame is that it gives students here at Farmingdale, it gives them something to aspire to. And we talk about it in the committee because there are 2 kids every year that serve in the committee, and we talk about how, your job as a student is to come back and get on that wall. I mean, that's the goal, right? So the wall really is a cool representation of all of the great things that Farmingdale has to offer. It's not just about being the most successful in your field. It's about giving back. It's about connecting to a community, hopefully the community here at Farmingdale, but whatever communities you live in. And also to be the kind of person that a kid can look at when they walk past that wall on the way to guidance and go, that's pretty cool. I didn't know there was a job like that, and I could see myself doing that. So tonight we have Miss Isan Elman Abawi, who will be our co-presenter, and you'll hear a lot from her as she likes to introduce all of the people that we will pay honor to tonight. So, let's begin, shall we? All right.
Thank you. The Wall of Fame is located near the main entrance of our high school. After this event, we will have 85 plaques, one for each person inducted since 1998. The Wall of Fame represents a very talented group of men and women who are then first responders, veterans, educators, chefs, doctors, entertainers, artists, business owners, and so much more. But all are excellent role models who show us with hard work and determination, we can turn our passion into a successful career.
How many adults are sitting? Man, I couldn't do that when I was a kid, right? Like, look at all these adults sitting here. And she just came up here and she was rocking, right? She's awesome. She really is. So as I've said, one of the goals here for the Wall of Fame is that today's students will be inspired by our inductees to pursue their dreams and strive one day to be honored for their own accomplishments. So today we honor 6 Dalers, our 2019 winners and also our 2020 winners, because as you know, we're still in a pandemic and we didn't have an opportunity last year to really to honor the people that deserve it. So we're going to honor 6 people this evening. So we've got our 2019 winners, Maria Eliane DeSimone, the class of 1972. And by the way, I just want to apologize. We do say what year you graduated high school, so if you have a problem with that, I apologize. I can't hide it. I mean, it is what it is. And it's also on the plaque in the high school that everyone will see, so good luck with that. Tracy Viceri, right, class of 1991. Glenn Weiss, class of 1979. And then we honor our 2020 winners. Mr. Rosario Catanzaro, class of 1970. Christine Latharis, the class of 1980. And Krista Lucarelli, the class of 1987. So once again, an event like this evening's event does not happen without the support of the many people that have been behind the scenes working to get it to this event. So I'd like to thank our selection committee. We've got a couple of people here in the audience who are part of the selection committee, so thank you for them and their hard work. I'd like to thank our Board of Education members who are here supporting us, our central administration, our central office administration, our building principal at the high school, Dr. Thompson, my fellow assistant principal, Mrs. Martinez, and again, all of the main office staff, my secretary, Erin Chernikoff, who, you know, every person that wears a suit, there's a person behind them who does like all the important stuff, and for me, that's Miss Erin Chernikoff. The Howard custodial staff, our AV staff, and especially tonight we have our Paper Lion staff. So the Paper Lion is the school newspaper, and we have some journalists here who hopefully reached out to our winners. No, they did, I know they did. And they interviewed them, and they wanted to find out a little bit about you so they can honor you a little bit this evening. So we've got them tonight. And all right, so let's begin, shall we? Is Kayla here? Kayla Singh? Is Kayla here? Nope, she's not here. All right, so we'll do it. So Miss Kayla Singh is not here. Kayla Singh is one of our Paper Line reporters, so I will read her little blurb, and that's quite all right. So our first winner is Maria Eliane DeSimone, who graduated from Adelphi with a PhD and a master's degree from Stony Brook School of Nursing. While at Stony Brook, she won numerous awards, including the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching and the Teacher of the Year Award. Maria was a clinical professor at Stony Brook University and both a professor and coordinator of the Nurse Practitioner Program at Temple University. Maria was the co-founder of the Nurse Practitioner Association of Long Island. In addition, she served as the past president of the Nurse Practitioner Association of New York and the American College of Clinicians. She served on the editorial board for the Journal of American Association of Nurse Practitioners, Clinical Reviews. Maria has been published in over 8 journal articles and in over 19 books. Maria has volunteered with the Jewish Family and Children's Services of Delaware County and at the Westchester Free Medical Clinic for over 12 years. So congratulations, Ms. Maria DeSimone. But speaking on her behalf this evening is the person who nominated her, Ms. Grace Russell. Is she here this evening? All right, Ms. Russell, you're up. Warm welcome for Ms. Grace Russell, by the way. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Good evening. I wish that Kayla and I had spoken before because you're going to hear similar things, so bear with me. I'm here to tell you about my first real friend in the world, my youngest sister, Eliane. Her name is Maria Eliane DeSimone, but we call her Elaine affectionately. Elaine is the second child of 5 siblings. From an early age, it was evident that she had an abundance of curiosity, energy, and drive. Fortunately, one of her Farmingdale elementary teachers recognized this gift, and as well as her ability to learn quickly, she recommended her for a gifted program that Farmingdale had when we were in elementary school. It was called the MAL, which is called More Able Learners. Boy, we've come a long way, huh? And now it's the precursor for the Horizons program that some of your children and some of you have been part of. Their field trips, she would sit at home and talk about, they went to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm like, what is that? You know? At home, she spoke of Impressionist painters. I learned about Manet and Monet from my younger sister. She talked about haiku. I had no clue what that was. You can imagine, I was impressed, and I'm the older sister. My favorite memory of that time was the day that Eliane decided to bring home a guinea pig from her school. I guess the teacher said, oh sure, that's a good idea. I'm sure your mother will love that. And she set up a lab in the basement. And I thought, well, I'm not going near that thing. And it's a good thing I went into teaching because Eliane went into nursing. And I think that's when her affinity, that's when her desire for science was sparked. She was in a hurry to learn and then pursue a career path, so she decided to graduate Farmingdale High School in 3 years rather than the typical 4. She began to study nursing at the New Rochelle School of Nursing in 1971, which is when she graduated. I thought, well, you're finished now, right? You're a nurse? You're all done? And she said, no, that's just the beginning. Eliane returned to college in 1979 when she was offered a full-time scholarship to the recently established Critical Care Nurse Practitioner program at Stony Brook University. I'd never even heard of a nurse practitioner. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of you sitting out here that see nurse practitioners much more often than when you see your doctors these days. Whoops, sorry. She began working at Hempstead General, and in 1983, she and 4 of the nurse practitioner colleagues were told they were, quote, fired because they were breaking the current Nurse Practitioner Act. Their jobs, they kept their jobs, but this began a long tenure of working to change this act. Eliane and other nurse practitioners formed the Long Island Nurse Practitioner Association and traveled to Albany every few weeks to lobby for a change. The act was signed into law the year that she became president of what is now known as the Nurse Practitioner Association of New York. Back then, there were less than 500 nurse practitioners who were certified by the state. Today, there are over 25,000 members. Elaine's calling led her to educate future nurse practitioners while continuing to pursue her own education, working in hospitals and volunteering simultaneously. She taught the Postmaster's Nurse Practitioner program at Stony Brook University School of Nursing for 26 years, while earning her PhD at Adelphi University. After she and her family relocated to Pennsylvania, she continued to instruct online, and anybody that had children this year knows what that can entail, and to make monthly trips to Stony Brook University. This work and her work with the legislation in New York earned the prestigious President's Award for Excellence in Teaching, the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching from the State University of New York. Upon retiring from Stony Brook, she sought to continue to educate nurse practitioners at Temple University, then moving on to Widener University School of Nursing as a clinical professor, where she was the director of the Masters of Science Nursing programs for several years while earning a postmaster's certificate. Although Eliane has, quote, retired from the classroom, she hasn't retired from nursing. Retirement means something entirely to Eliane. She continues to use her skills and her compassion where they are most needed in underprivileged neighborhoods. She sits on the committee of Chester Community Coalition, the Boys and Girls Club Safety Committee, and volunteers in a clinic. Her resume is filled with projects, podcasts, that just went on and on and on, published articles, grants, and awards. I've only mentioned a few tonight, a few accomplishments. I hope that you can feel the pride that I have in my first friend, my sister Eliane, who accomplished all of this while she and her husband raised 2 sons, while she answered every medical question from our family and friends, day or night, with patience and compassion. We and so many nurse practitioners and the residents of Chester have benefited from that curious, energetic, and driven little girl, and I'm so very pleased that Farmingdale High School has acknowledged her accomplishments and her impact in our world tonight. Thank you.
So do you want me to tell you the story about that, or are you going to tell the story? Yeah, you tell that story. I think it's a good story. I think that's a good story. Okay, you want to come up, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Simone, please come up and accept this plaque. It's frozen. It's a pandemic. Yeah.
Wouldn't look good for a nurse to be hugging people. That was really, made me cry, sis. So, just very quickly, my speech is 5 minutes, 9 seconds. But that picture is not a graduation picture because there were thousands and thousands and thousands of us in 1972 and 71 in the high school. I think there's 1,700 in the school now. There were probably 1,200 in my senior class. And when I went into my guidance counselor at the beginning of my junior year and said, man, high school, not so much for me, she said, bye. And that was that. And so that's why when they asked for a graduation picture, I said, I don't have one, but here's one of me several years later in my cap and my uniform, which was measured 4 inches from the ground, because that's what they did to us back then. So, thank you, Mr. Herman, the Wall of Fame Executive Committee, and the school district, not for just accepting my nomination, but for maintaining this honor of tradition of honoring Farmingdale alumni. Thank you for including the 2020 recipients in this year's ceremony. Of all things that were canceled last year during the pandemic, I was disappointed to have missed the opportunity to become part of this Farmingdale tradition. We are a 3-generation Farmingdale family who can boast of 3 career-long teachers in the school district. The value of the wall in the high school hallway goes well beyond the merit of any one individual's award. It applies and it aspires to be a motivational roadmap, if you will, for students who are exploring their life's paths, like my niece and nephew who are in the school now. The acknowledgement of my profession, nursing, into this wall hopefully will inspire others to follow my cue and become a nurse. As a former professor and an active member of the nurse practitioner profession, I've given many talks. This is one of the first times I realized that I was going to be speaking to folks who were not of my profession, who were mostly lay people, notwithstanding anybody who may be a nurse in the room in this area. I thought it was an opportunity to present information for those of you who may not have considered certain aspects of nursing. We think of nurses as caring, empathetic, and moral. For the past 19 years, except for 2001 after 9/11, Gallup has ranked nursing the most trusted profession of all in the United States. We're with you at your most vulnerable. We're there when you're born. We're there when you die. And we are there during all the ugly times and the happy times in between. We are not, however, often thought of as a scientific profession. Many of us think of us solely as a physician's helper. And this stereotype has been perpetuated in a lot of the media. But my experience as a student and a teacher of nurses, as well as my 47 years in practice, belies that common misconception. While perhaps not appreciated by the public, nursing is a scientific profession with its own philosophy, theories, tenets, ethical standards, and all the other trappings of other professions. Nursing curricula are not sections of medical school watered down for nurses. We teach our nurses how to evaluate and translate evidence into practice, and we practice according to the scientific evidence. The central concepts of nursing are person, environment, nurse, and caring. So caring. It's not something that you would automatically think worthwhile of study. Excuse me. Yet many have devoted their careers to further the caring relationship in the profession of nursing, in medicine, in social work. It is definitely a phenomenon worthy of study. Caring is more than giving nursing advice, giving medicine, or teaching positive health practices. It's not hand-holding, pillow fluffing, or babysitting the patient till the physician gets there. The caring, and I'm going to add here healing, relationship is much more complex. In his iconic book, I and Thou, the philosopher Martin Buber encourages us to acknowledge the critical nature of a caring relationship, of a relationship. In this word pair, I, Thou, Buber says we can actually find the divine. We can find God. When a healer works with a patient, they seek to meet that patient where the person is. The healer enters the relationship with no preconceived ideas about what works or what doesn't, and works with that patient, and I might add, family, to get that person well and to keep that person well. The I-thou dyad takes place regardless of how sick the person is, how many life-saving contraptions that person has attached to them, or whether or not they can speak or understand. Even when you, as a patient, are not able to hold up your end of the bargain, your end of the relationship, the nurse supplies for you as much as possible. That's just what it is. That's just what we are. For me, as a nurse practitioner, I can diagnose, I can treat, I can prescribe. Thank you to the books. Time's up. Is it up? All right. And one more page. No. No, leave it. Seriously, I don't want to lose my flow.
Hold on. Please hold. Dan the Man's here. Did we thank Dan the Man, by the way?
Thanks, Dan the Man. All right, you have to stay here.
Yeah, low battery.
Should I start over?
Dan the Man. We're going to fix it. All right. Well, since I have you here real quick, I have to thank Food Services. I totally forgot them, so thank you, Food Services, for the lovely display. Take a snack and a cookie and a water, all those things. And secondly, most importantly, probably, is that Farmingdale beat Massapequa in lacrosse this afternoon. You probably want to know that. All right. I'm just waiting. Camera wasn't on, so we have to start over again.
Blessed be the flexible, right? They'll never break, even though they have to bend. Okay, so over the course of my career, I've witnessed an exponential growth in medical science and in health science. In 1974, the size of a temporary pacemaker was the size of a 3-drawer file cabinet. AIDS and HIV did not exist when I became a nurse. Today's nurse spends so much time working with the technology and not able to spend time with the patient. They have less time to develop caring relationships. There is little time to hold sacred space with the patient and the family. And the SARS-CoV-2 virus taught us all what it means to hold sacred space with our loved ones. Nurse burnout is a real phenomenon right now, and the profession is aging out. But I'm so encouraged by the recent surge of interest in nursing and all the healthcare professions. If the pandemic showed us anything positive, it's that much can be accomplished when we work together. I think we have truly entered a new phase, a sea change, a paradigm shift in the world. Nurses have something to do with that. They can teach us how to care for one another and how to heal our part of the world. Thank you for listening to my perspective and hopefully shifting yours just a bit.
show you something real quick. So normally what happens at the Wall of Fame ceremonies at the end, everybody gets to see their little plaque up in the high school. But we hope that one day we'll invite you back to the high school and that when you've cured this pandemic and we can all get together and you can see your actual plaque on the wall. Yeah, that's it. But that's what it's going to be. Okay, so real quick, before we go to our next honoree, we always like to acknowledge special guests. So this evening we have, let's see what we got here. We got Oyster Bay Town Supervisor, Mr. Saladino, correct? Mr. Saladino, want to say a few words? Or, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know that you're here, so. No, sir. When you're here, we recognize you.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, congratulations to this year's honorees. It's wonderful to join with all of you, our superintendent, our president, and trustees of the board, community leaders, teachers, educators, the administrators, and dear friends who make Farmingdale so special. We're very proud of Farmingdale in our town because so many of our talented employees are Farmingdale alumni, including my colleague, the Deputy Supervisor, Greg Peterson, Greg Carmen, who is with us right now. Let's give Greg a hand. Does a fine job. Farmingdale continues to succeed in all ways because of the dedication of the community, the school district, and something very special about those who have attended this school. So the town of Oyster Bay is proud to honor each and every one of you, and we brought town citations signed by myself and all the board members, but really from the community and this town to say thank you for putting the town of Oyster Bay on the map. So congratulations, and I'm going to ask you, may they come up? May they come up to the front? I'll ask you to come up one by one and stay here, and we'd love to take a photo with all of you together. So our first congratulations is to Rosario Catanzaro. Congratulations on behalf of the town of Oyster Bay. Our second honoree is Maria Elena Di Simone. Thank you for all you're doing in healthcare. Thanks for your leadership. Congratulations on behalf of the town of Oyster Bay. Next is Christine Latharis. Congratulations on behalf of the town of Oyster Bay. Next honoree is Christina Lucarelli. Thank you for all your exemplary behavior and your success, and thank you. Congratulations. Next honoree is Tracy Viceri. Congratulations on behalf of the town. And last but certainly not least is Glenn Weiss. Well then, on behalf of all of you, congratulations for all of your successes, and congratulations for the example you set for year after year of graduates. Congratulations to you all. I did, and I'm going to hear about it tomorrow.
wanted to introduce you to Ann Burns, our Paperline journalist, who will introduce our second nominee, Tracy Viceri.
Hi. So, Tracy Viceri, a learning consultant at Woodward Parkway Elementary School, graduated with a bachelor's degree in both elementary education and psychology, as well as a master's degree in special education. She co-moderated the student council, helped create a student-crafted memorial garden, and was the one who organized the Week of Men's Food Drive. She founded Friends and Angels, a nonprofit set up to improve the quality of life of children battling cancer, and raised over $150,000 since 2011. All of this is very, very impressive, but during the phone call that I had with her, what I found most impressive was how every time I asked her a question, she ended up answering the end of it with something about her students. She talked more about her students than I think she talked about herself, and it was obvious that this was truly something that she loved to do. I am actually honored to be part of a community that had someone as thoughtful and selfless as her. And the one thing that I think I took from our interview the most was that she never seems to back down from a challenge, and I think she seems to thrive most in a challenge. And I thought that was an amazing quality to have in a person, and it really showed that she deserved to be here. So.
Thank you for those kind words. So Ms. Viceri was nominated by our very own and Woodward Parkway principal, Dr. Klosek, so please welcome him to the stage.
I love the 90s. Good evening, honored guests, Board of Ed, of course our Wall of Fame committee, Mr. Herman, thank you for your help, Mr. Thompson for doing this for the high school, and of course our superintendent and all of our central office members and all of our honored guests. It's a pleasure to get to speak to you on behalf of someone so deserving of this award. As principal of Woodward Parkway, I've had the pleasure of knowing Ms. Viceri for 11 years, during which time she has served as our learning consultant. Before this, she worked as a special education teacher in New York City, Department of Education, where she began her career 6 years ago, or 6 years after that picture was taken. She started her tenure in Farmingdale in 2000, where she served both as a special education teacher in the integrated collaborative setting and in resource room. When working with her students, Ms. Viceri's patience and her sense of humor and her warmth allowed her to transform her classroom into a safe haven for students who struggle academically. Her use of praise and her ability to build community among a small group of kids has made her resource room a place of learning and of joy for students who typically do not like school. When working with teachers in her role as learning consultant, Ms. Viceri's willingness to share her expertise has been integral in helping our staff meet the diverse needs of our kids. Daily, she visits classrooms, she observes students, develops meaningful recommendations for teachers, and provides hands-on assistance to bring those plans of assistance to life for her kids. As you mentioned so brilliantly before, she was also instrumental in our student council, where she's worked with other teachers, and she has done such things as spearheading efforts that have promoted our character education work and really have encouraged the spirit of giving in our school. Things like making sense out of breast cancer and our Week of Thanks, which were mentioned, are things that she has been a part of, and her leadership is something that our school would not be able to be as warm a place as it is if she was not there. In addition to being an outstanding teacher and an invaluable member of our school family, Ms. Viceri is an active philanthropist who, after surviving a TH bout with Hodgkin's disease, stage 3A, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, became inspired by the doctors and nurses and volunteers who cared for her in the Pediatric Oncology Center of Long Island Jewish. Ms. Viceri channeled this passion, and she founded and became president of the Friends and Angels, the Tracy Viceri Foundation. As mentioned before, this organization has raised over 1,000, and I believe we're up to 170,000 at this point, to support patients receiving treatment in the Division of sorry, I might need you to help with this one. Thank you. Hematology, oncology, and stem cell transplants at the Cohen's Children's Medical Center. Together with a team of volunteers, she does the following. She provides patients with hospital scrapbooks so they can document their journey while they battle cancer. She assists survivors in the Facing Forward program by providing binders to cancer survivors to keep their medical documents organized post-treatment. She decorates rooms of bone marrow transplant patients to make them a more pleasant environment while they're in the hospital. She hosts movie nights and holiday events. She provides birthdays and holiday gifts for kids. She donates new books, school supplies, arts, crafts, games, movies, and DVDs for children, all of whom are suffering with a very difficult disease. Recently, my daughter, and I have to share this with you, she was asked to do a current events article. And she wrote this, and I think it just kind of captures everything better than I ever could. She writes, Tracy Viceri, who has battled 2 cancers, created a foundation called Friends and Angels. She is a special education teacher at my daddy's school. At Friends and Angels, she does everything in her power to make people who are in her and her family's situation comfortable. She and her many volunteers work hard making toiletry bags, decorations, and hospital rooms more comfortable for families in need. The world is blessed to have this fantastic woman. These were the details. Tracy is changing people's lives. She is making many things better so people can feel at home. And she has raised over $170,000. Sorry. This was the best part, and I thought it was the best part to end it. She writes, I feel what Tracy is doing is a fantastic thing. She is doing an angel's work here on earth. She's taking her experiences, both good and bad, and her blessing of being a survivor and creating miracles for children that need it the most. So for that, Tracy, we congratulate you, we celebrate you, and thank you for all that you do. Congratulations.
I don't really want that one, but whatever. Whichever one you want to do.
You gave that to us, just remember.
I couldn't help it. A lot of Aquanet. Okay, I gotta move this down. Okay. Wow, I'm overwhelmed. I'm just hoping that my dress doesn't blow up so no one will see it from this angle. I just want to start off by thanking the Wall of Fame committee for this wonderful honor, especially Dr. Classic for nominating me. But first off, I want to thank my mom and dad, who are unable to be here tonight because my dad's in the hospital. If it wasn't for them moving to Farmingdale in 1970, none of this would be possible. Ever since I was a kindergarten student in Mrs. Sanciabella's class at Woodward Parkway, I wanted to be a teacher. I would have never thought that I would eventually be teaching in the building I started school in. I was born and raised in Farmingdale, attended Howard Middle School, and graduated from Farmingdale High School in 1991. I was on the varsity swim team from 7th through 12th grade. My first job was teaching swimming lessons for Farmingdale Youth Council. I have so many great memories in that pool. Up until 8 years ago, I was an assistant supervisor at Woodward Parkway's summer rec. So I guess you can say I'm a full-blown Daler. The Farmingdale School District has always been so great to my family and I. At the end of my sophomore year of high school, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's disease. That meant no more swimming, going to football or lacrosse games on the weekends, and sitting on the bench to help sell pretzels. My entire world turned upside down. The administration and staff helped my family and I navigate through this crazy time in our lives. I couldn't have gotten through this without them. They provided me with home tutoring, which they let me slide by with a lot, and even a computer for me to use at home. Those are the days before Chromebooks. After high school, I attended Wagner College in Staten Island to study education. In the summer of 2000, while I was working summer rec, I received a phone call from the special ed department in Farmingdale. They wanted me to come in for an interview for a tenure-track position at Woodward Parkway. The rest is history. For the past 20 years, I've been a special education teacher at Woodward Parkway and couldn't be happier. I am lucky to have Woodward Parkway as a second family. They have been through there for me, through thick and through thin. Thank you, Patrick and Jen, for making it fun to come to work each day. I'm so happy to say that I'm over 30 years cancer-free. 11 years ago, I founded a charity, Friends and Angels, the Tracy Viceri Foundation, to thank the hospital that saved my life. My Farmingdale family has been very supportive with all my efforts. I'm extremely grateful for this prestigious honor. Words can't express how lucky I am to have grown up and to work in this fabulous town. Thank you for all my friends and family for coming out tonight. Administration, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay, so next, hi. Okay, so next we have Mr. Glenn Weiss. So Mr. Weiss is unable to join us this evening. I spoke to his assistant multiple times. He is in California, where his business takes him most of the time. Most recently, he just produced the Oscars. So I'm going to read some of his accomplishments, and then we have the person that nominated him this evening will speak on his behalf. So, in 1999, Glenn Weiss partnered to form White Cherry Entertainment, an award-winning boutique television production company that has worked with former U.S. presidents, popular musical acts, famous actors, and Broadway casts. Glenn has been nominated for 25 Emmy Awards, winning 14. In addition, Glenn has won 8 Director Guild of America Awards for Outstanding Directorial Achievement, 3 Emmys, 5 Director Guild Awards, and 1 Peabody Award. Mr. Glenn Weiss has directed numerous television events, including 16 Tony Awards, 3 Academy Award shows, the 39th Annual Kennedy Center Honors, the Cable Ace Awards, the Billboard Music Awards, the BET Awards, Peter Pan Live, Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, and Dick Clark's New Year's Rocking Eve, and of course, the Emmys. In addition to all of those things, Mr. Glenn Weiss has also been a guest lecturer at several colleges and might be probably best remembered for proposing to his girlfriend during the live production of the 2018 Oscars. So Mr. Glenn Weiss was nominated by Mr. Ken Ulrich, and we would like to welcome him to the stage at this time.
I wish Glenn could have been here tonight because I too would like a chance to speak with him. The last time I saw him was in mid-June of 1979, just about 3 weeks short of 42 years ago. It was the last day of classes of his senior year. In those days, senior English was made up of a series of elective courses, and he'd enrolled in my television production class, which was one of those electives. And when I spoke with him to interview him so that I could get some information to nominate him for this award, he said, I didn't know a thing about television, but you had to read a lot of books in all those other classes. So that's why he enrolled in that class. It really was a television production class. But looking back at it now, the equipment that we had to use wouldn't even be considered children's toys today. It was black and white. It was incredibly bulky. And one of the 3 cameras that we had to use didn't even have a monitor on it. The best you could do would be get a wide shot of everybody. It was incredibly rudimentary, but in 1979, who knew from television? You know, it was like Everybody thought it was great. We didn't have to do anything good. It just had to be there, and everybody thought what we were doing was fantastic. Anyway, I found out years later from Glenn that the course turned a light on him. One that he says opened the way to a career that he calls fantastic and rewarding. He's one of television's most sought-after producer-directors, and you've just heard most of this before, but I'm on a roll here. And you've undoubtedly seen his work if you've watched the Kennedy Center Honors, the Tony Awards, the Oscars, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, which, by the way, he worked on with one other Farmingdale alumnus who was doing lighting for one of the New Year's Rockin' Eves that Glenn did. And I have been told that they did a nice little bit of, let's say, reconnecting during the breaks. Live from Lincoln Center, a whole bunch of political conventions of both sides, and a whole bunch of Super Bowl halftime shows. One of the things that wasn't mentioned is that in addition to Peter Pan, Glenn also did SpongeBob the musical, so we don't want to forget that. He certainly didn't direct every one of the shows in those categories, but he's done more than his fair share. And in the process, he earned a whole bunch of awards, which you've just heard about. I dare say he's entertained millions of people over the years and has, through his innovative directing techniques, moved the direction of live television as an art form to the high state of proficiency it now enjoys. Like all teachers, I'm proud when one of my students makes it, his or her chosen career. In this case, the entire Farmingdale school community should be very proud of Glenn. His success is due to his own talent, to be sure. But it's also due to the opportunity provided to him here to take a course that was rare in high schools at that time, dealing with a subject he had never even considered. In fact, he has said something like this in an interview after his having won one of his Emmy Awards. We've also always taken pride in our goal here to provide opportunities to every child in our district. In Glenn's case, we provided the opportunity and he did the rest. His career choice and his acknowledged position as a leader in his industry prove the wisdom of our goal to provide an opportunity to every child. We congratulate him for his success in an incredibly difficult industry. Thank you.
We're dealing with the wind up here, you know. Things have kind of gotten moved around. Good.
Sorry about that, everybody. I will now introduce you to Julian Davidine, who will introduce Rosario Catanzaro.
Before I start, hello. I first of all want to say I am honored to be in the community with you in it. You have done so much for the community. So to start, you're a licensed electrician by trade. Russ Catanzaro serves as the construction project manager for the Eliane Utility Contracting LLC, where he oversees multiple and many projects, often exceeding millions of dollars. I'll refer to it with the name, my personal favorite, Mr. Farmingdale. Mr. Catanzaro has been a long-time community advocate. He has served for the Face the PLL program, the Police Athletic League, for the past 25 years as both its vice president and its president. Mr. Catanzaro received recognition for this service in 2011 when he earned the Nassau County PAL Volunteer Award of the Year. In addition, Mr. Catanzaro served for 12 years as the trustee of the Farmingdale Board of Education. During his tenure, Mr. Catanzaro was an integral force in ensuring many of the district-wide construction projects were completed safely, accurately, and affordably. Such improvements include replacement of all boilers and windows in the district, as well as renovations of all the Farmingdale High School bathrooms and locker room, He proves us that anyone can be a hero, and I'm honored to be in a place with Mr. Farmingdale. My personal favorite name, by the way.
Thank you for those words. We will now hear from Sherry Bardish-Evers, who nominated Russ.
Truth be told, this is a joint nomination with Steve Wilson over there. And you'll hear a lot of the same stuff because that's how we nominated you with that speech. So good evening, everyone. It's been quite a year for sure, and I can see no better reason to be together than to honor all the new 2020 and 2021 Wall of Fame inductees. One of those inductees is the ever-present and always dapper Russ Catanzaro, a veritable, you'll love this, Mr. Farmingdale. Upon graduating from Farmingdale High School in the class of 1970, Russ was fully skilled in all aspects of construction, but followed the arduous path of becoming a licensed electrician. As his career developed and expanded, he moved up into the world of construction project management, which he successfully continues today, overseeing multi-million-dollar commercial projects in New York City. And yet, even with those very long hours, including extraordinarily early commutes into the city, Russ has consistently made the time to serve his community, especially the children in this district. He is the community advocate for all our children, both in terms of athletics and academics. Russ is the face of Farmingdale Police Athletic League PAL, and for the past 29 years, he has overseen its many programs that benefit the children of our community. In that time, he served as Farmingdale PAL Vice President for 10 years, and has been president of the Farmingdale PAL unit for the past 18 years. His hard work and dedication is evident in all the events he organizes and attends, where no task, from program registration to the lining of fields to the last-minute field remediation, is too large or too small for us to accept and complete. While Farmingdale parents and children have certainly appreciated his dedication, in 2011, his hard work was recognized on a larger scale when he received the Nassau County PAL Volunteer of the Year Award. As if the many hours devoted to PAL were not enough, Russ Catanzaro has also been an integral part of the Farmingdale School District. In October 2003, the district made a call to the community to form a Facilities Advisory Committee with the goal of reviewing the physical plant needs of the district. Russ brought his immense construction management experience to this committee. As an inaugural member and co-chair of this committee, Russ's experience was absolutely invaluable. His knowledge and experience enabled fellow community members to better understand the district's situation as presented to the committee by the architects hired to perform a review. His informed questioning ensured the architectural review was understood by all. And if and when it meets, Russ is still an integral part of this committee. Based on what he learned about the district and to further his community involvement, Russ ran for the Farmingdale Board of Education in 2004. Winning easily, Russ was now positioned to oversee additional district activities. In 2005, he was able to form a coalition to cement board support overviewing the facility needs of the district. As an integral member of the board, for the first time, the board now had someone who brought to it knowledge of construction and facilities. Russ became the knowledge base and foundation of the board in all facility-related issues. Just a small note, back in the day, since Russ had to get up so early to head into the city for work, the Board of Ed adjusted its exec session timing so that they would meet for longer before public sessions and then go home when the meeting was adjourned. I'm pretty sure the rest of the trustees were fine with such an arrangement and welcomed that adjustment, since no one really enjoys Board of Ed business at 1 a.m., just saying. Throughout his 12 years as a Board of Ed trustee, Russ was an integral force in ensuring that many district-wide construction projects were approached and completed safely, accurately, affordably, and of the highest quality. Such improvements include the replacement of all the boilers in the district, the replacement of all windows in each building, numerous field enhancements at each school, the renovation of the bathrooms at each school, and a major overhaul of the main student bathrooms at Farmingdale High School, the renovation of the locker rooms throughout, ceiling tile and lighting replacement throughout the district, creating a much brighter atmosphere for a healthier learning environment, the development and implementation of a district-wide energy performance contract, the implementation of various enhanced safety measures throughout each building, the renovation of the Howard Bus Circle and Courtyard, and most recently, the development and beginning of the work for the $36 million sports complex bond, which includes the building of the new aquatic center at Howard Middle School, as well as upgrading and improving fields and grounds at all schools throughout the district. We should acknowledge that Russ Catanzaro is not the typical inductee on the Farmingdale Wall of Fame. Most of those receiving this honor have moved away from Farmingdale and have had successful careers while also volunteering for their community, for their church, or a local charitable organization. The difference here is that while Russ has been very successful in his construction career, he has remained in Farmingdale, and therefore his volunteerism has significantly benefited this community. He is not as glamorous as a Broadway actor. He is not as visible as a school principal or a school superintendent. He is not published like the renowned surgeon, but he has dedicated the majority of his free time to enhancing the opportunities for our children and our families and our community through the countless hours, days, months, and years dedicating service on the Farmingdale Union Free School District Board of Education and within the Farmingdale PAL program. Having graduated in the Farmingdale class of 1970 and having dedicated so much time and energy to this community, Russ Catanzaro is a prime example of extraordinary dedication, constantly giving back to the community he loves, and therefore a very worthy recipient of this Wall of Fame honor. Congratulations to the entire Catanzaro crew, and especially to Russ.
Sherry has always been a hard act to follow. I didn't write anything down because I wanted to see what Sherry was going to say. So I do want to thank her and Steve for nominating me and the committee for accepting it. I was pretty impressed with all that. It's the way you accept the challenges. I learned a long time ago when I first moved back into Farmingdale. I was out of the district for a couple of years and realized that I needed to be here. I kind of almost tricked my wife into moving back into Farmingdale. She was a Farmingdale resident, one-time resident. She was born and raised here herself. I'm sorry, she was in the Bronx originally. And we moved back here, and that's when I decided that it was time to get involved. And when my son was in pre-K, I went to a PAO meeting, and they said, we don't have a pre-K program in baseball. I said, what are you kidding? We have to have pre-K. That's where it started. So the police officer that was in charge at the time said, well, if you want it, you do it. And that was almost 30 years ago. And I got involved with that, and then we had 2 teams, and then we had 20 teams, and then it led on to me being vice president, and I got lured into that. And now president for, I guess it is about 18 years. The work's never done, but I am so happy to be part of it. And as far as my time on the Board of Ed, that's another story. Growing up here and being part of the district and going to the schools, when I went there, the schools were new. And when I went back, I realized that John Lorenz, the former superintendent, he hooked me, as we like to say, and got me on a facility advisory committee, and we walked around the high school. Pails were in the hallways and leak
streets all over the place, and it was unacceptable. So I got involved with that, and as Sherry said. And then the challenge came that, you know, you needed to get more involved because you had to know more. You didn't get all that information that you needed. So, of course, I decided to run for the board. And 12 years of that was quite enough. But I'm still here, and I'm so proud of being a part of Farmingdale. And, you know, and I also want to make sure I thank my wife who gave me the opportunity to have the time to put into it. That was a couple of points. And, you know, my three of 6 sons went to Farmingdale, and they're all here and doing very well. So I am very happy with the district, and I'm happy with what I see going on now as far as the district is concerned. Again, thank you very much, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Farmingdale. Congratulations. Now I'd like to introduce you to Emma Duffy, our Taper-Line journalist, who will introduce our second nominee, not our second nominee, our next nominee, Dr. Christine Latharis. Dr. Latharis makes people smile in more ways than one. Her dental background has taken her to over 15 countries, offering free dental care to those in need, both locally and worldwide. Her accomplishments abroad do not stop there. It is often said that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but teach a man to fish, and you feed him for life. Dr. Latharis used this ideology when teaching emergency dental procedures in a refugee camp in Africa. She also aided in education in Guatemala by taking part in building 4 different schools. Education has taken the forefront in her life, and as a member of the Farmingdale community, I am proud to say that her education has started here. Thank you. Thank you. Speaking on behalf of Dr. Latharis is her father. I would like to welcome him to the stage, please.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see so many people here on a nice night honoring some people who deserve to be honored. I want to point out something about being, I also am a retired social studies teacher. And I warn you, and I'm warning you, it's never a good idea to put a live mic in front of a captive audience of a retired social studies teacher. But I promise to be brief, no matter how long it takes me. My daughter Christine, I'm so proud of her, and I let her know that as often as I can. And I'd like to just point out something that I agree with so much, and that is, as a role of a parent, you can never do too much for your children. And also, my wife and I firmly believe that the apples don't fall far from the tree. Our children do represent us in many ways. In regards to my influence upon my daughter, without boasting, but I used to be a pretty good athlete. And I see how much she has succeeded in athletics, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with me. More importantly, her mother, who passed away about a year ago, was by far the most important influence on Christine. She has always had a great deal of reverence for my wife, and she is the reason why mostly she is here. Thank you very much.
feel better. Good evening. Thank you to the committee for nominating me. Mr. Hanson. Thank you to everybody who's here tonight, especially to support myself. I don't have anything prepared either, and I don't want to carry on too much, but my father is correct that my mother did have a lot of influence on me. And you saw her name was here for nominating me. She used to say to me often, well, let me first tell you this, I'm the second person in my family who's now on the Wall of Fame. My older sister, Carol, was on the Wall of Fame, I believe, the first year that it was in existence. So I'm very proud of her, and I'm even more proud now that there's two of us there. But my mother would love to be here today. This would have been one of the things that she would have loved. And she used to say to me, why aren't you on the Wall of Fame? She said it often to me, why aren't you on the Wall of Fame? And I said, I don't know, Mom, I guess because no one has nominated me. So she took it upon herself, and I believe we did it together. And unfortunately, she passed away before we found out that I was nominated. But she used to take us to soup kitchens, probably shortly after we could walk. And she took us to the Long Island Developmental Center to work with kids. And, you know, our parents wanted us to know that how fortunate we were to have what we have, so that we could see other people. And it worked, and we do know that. And so I dedicated my life to helping people. And the way I became a dentist to do that was, it's kind of a funny story. I thought that if I could go into the Peace Corps, that would be a way to travel and volunteer, because I really wanted to travel. And I thought, well, it's volunteering, they'll take anybody. So I sent away for an application, and it came back, and it was about this thick. And they wanted to know what skills you had that you could provide for us. At that point, my skill was playing basketball. So no one was really interested in that. So through some things that happened, my mother was going through some dental care by a woman dentist at the time, which was many years ago. She would talk to me about it, and I somehow got it in my idea that I was going to do that. So that's the skill that I went to get. So once I got that skill, I took that skill, and I went around the world and volunteered. And you know, they say that when you give, you get back so much more. And it's so true. I've gotten my entire life by giving. And two of the greatest things I got by giving are my children. I've traveled around and saw all kinds of children who had no homes, everywhere in the world, no home, running around. So I decided to adopt a couple of children. So, as we all know, children make our lives, right? So I've just gotten back so much. When I went to I opened a practice in Connecticut. We gave back to the community all the time. Every month, an employee would get to choose an organization in the city that they wanted to donate to, and I would give them a couple $1,000, and they would call the organization themselves and get to present them with that check. So it gave them the feeling of what it's like to help and to donate, and the intention of that was, you know, to inspire them to do that more in their life. So these are some of the things that I decided to do, and I think they've made a difference, and I hope they've made a difference. I know for me, it's made my whole life and who I am. I did retire this year in January, and I love every second of it. I think, though, probably within the year, I will find my next career volunteering in other places. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know I'm going to follow in my mother's footsteps doing that too. So thank you, Dad and Mom. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Latharis. Now we would like to introduce you to Isabella Mountricas, one of our student journalists who was writing about Christina Lucarelli.
Good evening, everyone. Not many of us can say that we thought that our high school job would turn into our dream job. But that's exactly what Miss Lucarelli and what she had thought about doing. She's now working at the Farmingdale Public Library. Miss Lucarelli graduated Farmingdale High School in 1987 and graduated from Lloyd College in 1991. Miss Lucarelli is a wonderful part of our community, and I realized during our interview, I've known her for most of my life. I go to the library almost all the time, and I could only remember her bright and wonderful smile. And that smile is being shown through everyone, and the biggest part she has given to our community is that she has created lifelong friendships between the Triple P program. The Triple P program is where students volunteer their time every week to participate and spend time with their peers with social needs. Last year, there was over 79 participants in this program. We are so very lucky to have Ms. Lucarelli a part of our community, and I am very thankful to know her myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. Now I would like to welcome Tracy Viceri to the stage, who nominated Christine Lucarelli.
Okay, great. I don't do microphones because I can usually project very well. So I'm just really honored to be here to be talking about Krista as part of the class of 2021 Farmingdale Wall of Famers. I hope I can get through this without crying. It's going to be tough. I could not decide which of Krista's accomplishments that I should present as most important for the community, so I just decided to fell back on chronology. So I will start with Krista beginning her career at the Farmingdale Public Library more than 3 decades ago, and I'm sorry, I am dating you. The first time I heard her mention how long she worked at the library, I was like, did you just start in elementary school? It's just crazy. But Krista has been here forever. It seems like she's been here forever, and she has. And she's been helping the Farmingdale community all this time. So those of us who have children, and apparently those of us who are young adults as well, know Krista. She began working in the library's children's services area in 1991. 2002, she was promoted to the head of children's services. And in 2010, she earned the assistant director of the library position, which she presently holds. During her time in the Children's Library, Krista conceived of, established, and implemented all of the children's programs, ranging from infant programs to those for high school students. And because she was a member of the Farmingdale community, Krista built strong bonds with many of the local children and parents along the way. So, along the way, Krista has been many things to so many people and their children. I will say that no matter what Krista was doing, she always had grace and poise and a fantastic sense of humor, while also enforcing rules and maintaining boundaries. And for instance, I used to bring my twins, my babies, I have girls and a son, but I brought my twin babies to the read-along program, Mommy and Me, for very young children. And we would all sit on the floor and we would listen to Miss Krista reading from a book, great animation. And it's not really easy to keep 2 less than toddlers in one place at a time. And Krista would invariably say when somebody would wander off, she'd smile, say with great humor, "Can you please control your children?" She wasn't serious, she wasn't angry, she was very patient,
But I knew that in there was a nut of, but you know, you're kind of distracting the other kids. Like, yeah, I know, I'll try. And so there were occasions when Krista would help me manage one of the girls, and it was always the same one, and she always had a smile. In 2004, Krista took a very bold step. She established a dedicated special needs program within the Children's Library. At this time, there were few programs anywhere that were geared exclusively towards children with special needs, and any which did exist were often filled to capacity. None were free. The most significant component of this particular program, of this model that Krista set up, was that she invited siblings and parents of the special needs child to also attend the program. This was just not done anywhere. The program allowed entire families to interact with other entire families in a safe and non-judgmental place. It allowed special needs children, their parents, and the siblings to meet other people in similar situations. And it didn't exist anywhere. To this day, a big component of the library's programs continues to be devoted to children and teens with special needs, and Krista continues to run it. So I'm going to borrow a Star Trek phrase, I'm not Trek, but the new frontier. Nothing could be more true. The Triple P program, Peer Pals program. So Krista wasn't satisfied with simply enriching the lives of children with special needs and their families. She knew the importance of having typical children interact with non-typical children. She knew this would bring fulfillment to the typical children and enjoyment to those with special needs. More importantly, Krista recognized that such interaction would everyone an opportunity to see how much alike we all are. So in 2015, Krista conceived and implemented the Triple P program. It ran once a week, every week, for basically the entire school year. This would have been its 7th year if COVID had not interrupted it. Krista hand-selected the buddies. These were the typical children from grades 7 through 10 who volunteered every single week to spend at least an hour at the library participating in the program. This is like way beyond community service hours that any organization would require. And they did it. They loved it. Krista will tell you that they would come even when their kids weren't there. It's such a testament to what great character these children have. But Krista personally paired everybody with a specifically chosen special needs child. She was able to do this because she knows all the kids. That job was huge. Just that job was huge because, as you mentioned, there were more than 70 people involved in 2019 in this program. And Krista also planned all the fun and educational activities or the presentations for the participants for each and every week. Now, parents of the special needs children were to
determination allow her to find a different path to achieving her goals. The final result is always something that benefits many. Krista had a program for the library for special needs children. That novel idea, something not offered in any other library, has helped hundreds of children and their families over the years, and is a model program for all libraries. She's a fierce champion for her children and family, and a dedicated member of the Farmingdale community. She's a proud Daler and someone all Farmingdalers can and should be proud of. Next, I spoke to peers and friends. Don't worry. The first, I lost track of who said what, so. Krista is a great asset in the Farmingdale community and also to the special needs community. She's determined to help parents and special needs children in all ways possible, with different programs, information, and resources. Krista treats special needs community with dignity and respect. Krista's development of the special needs program at the library has helped typically developing kids by mentoring a positive relationship with our special needs kids, which brings more awareness of differences in all of us and fosters empathy and kindness. Krista has developed a wealth of information for the community at the library, and she goes above and beyond to help anyone who needs it. Krista is always willing to help parents. She shares the information and her resources to help parents navigate the tricky waters of special needs way of living. Krista is a great asset in the Farmingdale community and also to the special needs community. She's determined to help parents and special needs children in all ways with different programs, information, and resources. Krista goes above and beyond for parents, but more importantly for the kids. She is so patient and always jokes with the kids and makes every one of them feel special. She never dismisses anyone, anything any one of them says, even if it's insignificant. Krista is an amazing person and friend. Krista is a pillar of our community. Without her selflessness, commitment, and sense of community, we would not have the network needed for our children to flourish along with the tremendous support of each other. These are all true. So in conclusion, I often wonder how one mortal can accomplish so much to help special needs children and families, in addition to her other duties at the library. Krista has done this all while raising two beautiful sons, the eldest of whom progressed through the special education program in Farmingdale to graduate with a Regents diploma in 2017. He's currently attending Adelphi University. Krista's youngest son will be graduating from Farmingdale High School this year. Will be attending Malloy College to become a special education teacher. Gotcha. So, the Wall of Fame exists to honor Dalers who have accomplished great things and whose accomplishments have positively impacted this community. I cannot think of anyone in Farmingdale who is more deserving of this recognition than Christina Lucarelli. And not because she throws great parties. Farmingdale is blessed to be able to call Krista one of its own.
I apologize in advance because I know I'm going to cry.
I'd like to start by saying thank you to the committee, to Stacy for nominating me, and for administration for my own education through the Farmingdale system and both of my children. I'd like to congratulate all of the other recipients. I'm humbled to be included not only with you, but all of the past recipients that are on the wall. I really wonder how I was chosen for this honor, simply for doing something that I love. Oh, and by the way, it's only 7 pages. So. When I started working at the library during high school, it was really just to earn a little bit of cash. I said, I am not staying, I'm going into school, I'm going to be a teacher, and that's it. but life takes a turn and I decided to go for my master's in library science. I never thought that I would be working at the library 37 years later. My job is so rewarding in so many ways. I have the creative freedom and support of my director, Debbie, and the Board of Trustees to try new programs and services to enrich the community I grew up in and raising my children in, and that I love. I'm truly blessed to get up every morning and go to a job that I love. How many people can say that after 37 years? Granted, there are some days that I'm maybe not as kept in my step as others, but I go. As many of you know, the special needs community is near and dear to my heart. I began running the programs for children with special needs 18 years ago after a discussion with my director about the need to reach community groups that weren't currently coming into the library. Using my family as an example, she suggested trying to reach families with children with special needs. I met with the SEPTA president and then created a program that I thought the parents would bring their children to. 6 years ago, some of the parents asked me to create a buddy program. I named the program the Peer Pal Program, or Triple P. Triple P pairs the special needs participant with teen volunteers based on grade, age, and similar interests. It's imperative that the buddy pairs remain consistent each week to foster a friendship that has the potential to carry over outside the library. One where they would be comfortable saying hello to each other if they saw each other in town or in the hall at school. I really didn't know if it would work or not, but I'm always willing to try something new and see what happens. I never expected it to be as popular or successful as it is. At the highest, we had 94 students on a Monday night. It was a little chaotic, but it was good. And while I may plan and oversee the program, its success is not mine alone. It really takes a village to run that program. And I have to thank my village. Thank you to Debbie, the library director, and the Board of Trustees for their constant support and encouragement for all I do. Some of our activities are sometimes a little unconventional, given that we're a library, but I was afforded the opportunity to expose the participants to activities they might not typically experience with the typical peers. We've done bubble soccer, gaga ball, scooters, dodgeball. We've brought in animals, magic shows, activities that they might not go to with the general public. Thank you to the staff who helped me run the program on Monday nights, and the parents of the children they entrust me with each week. Each child is special to me, and their family has become my family. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but can I tell you, we have some of the best teams here in Farmingdale. My volunteers are the heart of the program, always going above and beyond to help you set up or clean up, taking on extra participants if a volunteer is out, and helping each other when necessary. They may serve in the capacity of mentor and peer buddy for the program, but the participants only see the volunteers as their friends. And when we had to stop in-person meetings last year, a core group of the teams committed to making the program virtual over the summer and this school year to provide those students, the ones that need the socialization the most, with a fun weekly program. I am so proud of them for recognizing what the special needs participants would like and would need. Thank you to the volunteers' parents and the district for instilling in them a sense of awareness, community, acceptance, and inclusion of all. It's heartwarming when a parent tells me that one of our volunteers approached their special needs child at school to say hi, that they high-fived in the hall, they went out to the movies or for ice cream, that the volunteers attended the child's party, or that their child is part of a school team with Triple P volunteers and is welcomed by the other team members. The program has achieved its goal thanks to the volunteers. And lastly, none of this would be possible without the love and support of my family. Thank you to my parents for always being there to lend a helping hand. To my boys for being my test subjects and sounding board and my husband for always being the voice of encouragement and helping out whenever needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucarelli, and congratulations. I want to say thank you to all our speakers tonight, and congratulations to all the winners of this wonderful recognition. Thank you to most of all the community who believe in the power of the Wall of Fame and take the time to nominate deserving individuals of this special honor. I must admit, I was really nervous coming here to speak, but at the end of this, hearing about all the amazing stories and the amazing work everyone's done, all I feel now is inspiration. So, congratulations to our families and executives tonight. And we will share your inspirational stories, and I will take them with me as I go off to college and live my life. I will not forget your words. So, thank you all for attending, and have a safe drive night, everyone.
I made a few phone calls and I got the ceremony in before the rain. So listen, thank you to everybody. Special thanks to these kids. Oh, these kids, right? Like, did you do this when you were 15? No.